My beloved brothers and sisters, life will test you. There will be nights when your pillow is wet with tears and mournings, when your heart feels heavier than your body. There will be moments when doors close so suddenly that you stand there confused, asking, why me? But when life gets hard, remember this: Allah has not abandoned you. Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that He will surely test us with fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives, and fruits, but He gives glad tidings to the patient. Think about that. The test is guaranteed, but so is the glad tiding. Sometimes we think hardship means Allah is angry with us. But reflect on the lives of the prophets. Was the life of Prophet Muhammad easy? He was rejected in Mecca, mocked, stoned in Taif, and faced betrayal and loss. Yet he was the most beloved to Allah. Trials are not a sign of rejection. They are a sign of elevation. Imagine a seed buried deep under dark soil. From above, it looks as though it has disappeared. But beneath the surface, something powerful is happening. It is breaking open. It is pushing through resistance. It is preparing to bloom. Your hardship may feel like burial, but perhaps Allah is planting you. You lost that job. You thought it was the end. But months later, you realize it pushed you towards something better. You experienced heartbreak. You thought your world collapsed. But later you thank Allah because He protected you from a future you could not see. How many times has Allah saved you from something you once begged for? Allah says in the Quran that you may dislike something while it is good for you, and you may love something while it is bad for you. Allah knows and you do not know. Subhanallah, we see today, Allah sees forever. When your dua seems unanswered, don't assume it is ignored. The silence is not neglect, it is divine wisdom. Perhaps Allah is delaying it because He wants to give you something bigger. Perhaps He is protecting you from harm. Perhaps He is waiting for the perfect moment when the blessing will not just change your situation, but change you. Have you ever noticed how rain falls exactly when the earth needs it most? Not a second too early, not a second too late. Allah sends signs at the perfect moment. A reminder, a verse, a lecture, a stranger's advice, a sudden calmness in your chest. These are not coincidences. These are messages from our Rahman. You are not forgotten. Even in the belly of the whale, when Yunus felt surrounded by darkness upon darkness, he called out to Allah. And Allah responded, darkness is not the end of your story. It may be the place where your most sincere dua is born. My dear brothers and sisters, sometimes Allah removes the distractions so you can finally see Him clearly. Sometimes He breaks your plans so you can surrender to His. And when you surrender, not with anger, but with trust, that is when peace enters your heart. Tawakkul is not sitting back and doing nothing. It is tying your camel and trusting Allah with the outcome. It is making effort while knowing the result belongs to Him. Ask yourself, what if this hardship is shaping you for a blessing you are not yet ready to carry? What if the delay is discipline? What if the struggle is strengthening your foundation so when the success comes, it does not destroy you? Gold is purified by fire. Diamonds are formed under pressure. The strongest believers are shaped by trials. Do not rush the process. Do not compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. Allah writes every story differently, and your story is still being written. Prepare your heart, increase your dua, strengthen your salah, purify your intentions, because when Allah opens a door, no one can close it. And when He closes a door, no one can open it. If you are breathing, Allah is not done with you. When life gets hard, remember this: the one who created your heart knows exactly how much it can bear. The one who tests you also loves you. The one who delays also plans. Trust Him when you see nothing. Trust Him when you feel nothing. Trust Him when everything seems to fall apart. Because sometimes things fall apart so that better things can fall into place. Your tears are counted. Your patience is recorded. Your dua is heard. And your reward is being prepared in ways you cannot yet imagine. Hold on a little longer. The night may be dark, but Fajr is coming. Hardship is not punishment, it is preparation. This is one of the most powerful mindset shifts a believer can make. When something goes wrong in our lives, our first reaction is often guilt or fear. We immediately assume Allah must be punishing me, but that assumption can quietly weaken our relationship with Him. Allah is our Rahman and our Rahim, the most merciful and the most compassionate. His mercy outweighs His wrath. So when difficulty comes, we must pause and ask ourselves, what if this is not punishment, but preparation? Think about how preparation works in every other part of life. A student preparing for an important exam must go through long nights of study, confusion, and mental exhaustion. An athlete training for a championship feels pain in their muscles, discipline in their routine, and discomfort in their sacrifice. No one looks at their struggle and calls it punishment. We call it training. We call it development. We call it growth. Why then, when Allah trains us for something greater, do we immediately label it as rejection? Allah prepares His strongest servants through trials. The prophets were tested the most, not because they were sinful, but because they were chosen. Their hardships elevated them. When something in your life shakes you, it may be because Allah is strengthening parts of you that comfort never could. Patience is not built in ease. Reliance on Allah is not developed when everything is going your way. True tawakkul is born when the ground beneath you feels unstable and you choose to trust Him anyway. Sometimes Allah removes something from your life because it would have destroyed you later. You cry over a lost opportunity, but you do not see the harm that was attached to it. You grieve a relationship, but you do not see the future heartbreak you were saved from. You feel delayed while others move ahead, but you do not see the character Allah is building inside you. Preparation often feels like loss before it feels like gain. When iron is placed into fire, it glows red, it bends, it changes shape. The fire is not punishing the iron, it is refining it. Without that heat, it remains weak and limited. With it, it becomes strong and purposeful. In the same way, the fire of hardship refines the believer. It burns away arrogance. It melts pride. It softens the heart. It forces you to turn back to Allah with sincerity. Many of us make our most powerful dues not when life is easy, but when we feel desperate. Hardship humbles us in ways comfort never can. Preparation also means capacity. Perhaps Allah wants to give you something greater than what you are asking for, but your current mindset, discipline, or faith is not yet strong enough to carry it. So He prepares you. He teaches you patience through delay. He teaches you gratitude through small blessings. He teaches you resilience through setbacks. Every difficulty adds weight to your spiritual muscles. And slowly, without you realizing it, you are becoming someone capable of handling more. Look back at your own life. Think of a challenge you once believed would break you. At the time, you felt overwhelmed. You questioned everything. But now, you see how much stronger you became because of it. You handle stress differently. You trust Allah more deeply. You react with greater maturity. That hardship shaped you. It prepared you for the next stage of your journey. Sometimes preparation is internal. Allah is aligning your heart before He aligns your circumstances. He is correcting your intentions before granting you success. He is teaching you reliance before giving you independence. If success came too early, you might forget Him. If wealth arrived too soon, it might corrupt you. If recognition came before humility, it might inflate your ego. So Allah prepares you quietly, often through moments you misunderstand. When life becomes heavy, remind yourself that Allah does not waste pain. Every tear has meaning. Every delay has wisdom. Every closed door has purpose. The discomfort you feel today may be building the discipline you will need tomorrow. The rejection you face now may be redirecting you to something purer. The loneliness you experience may be teaching you to find comfort in Allah alone. Preparation is not always visible. It happens beneath the surface, like roots growing underground before a tree rises above the soil. No one applauds the roots. No one sees the struggle in the darkness. But without that hidden growth, the tree would collapse at the first storm. Allah strengthens your roots before He exposes you to greater winds. Allah's timing is always perfect, even when it feels delayed. As human beings, we measure everything by minutes, months, and years. We look at the clock, we compare timelines, we calculate how long something has taken, and we grow anxious when it does not happen according to our expectations. But Allah is not bound by time the way we are. He created time. What feels late to you is never late to Him. What feels slow to you is unfolding with absolute precision in the divine plan. Think about how often we say, "If only this happened earlier," or "Why is this taking so long?" We assume that faster is better. We assume that immediate results mean success. Yet in reality, many of the most meaningful things in life require time. A child takes months to develop in the womb before entering the world. A tree takes years before it bears fruit. Maturity takes decades to form. Growth is rarely instant, and when it is instant, it is often unstable. When you make dua and you do not see results immediately, it can feel like silence. But delay is not denial. The delay may be protection. The delay may be alignment. The delay may be preparation. Allah sees variables you cannot see, people you have not met yet, opportunities not yet created, dangers not yet visible. If He were to give you what you want right now, it might clash with something greater He has written for you later. We often focus on what we want without understanding what we need. A person may desperately want a particular job, believing it is the key to happiness. They pray for it every night. They imagine their life changing overnight, but the job does not come. Months later, they discover another opportunity that fits them better, protects their faith, improves their mental health, or leads them toward connections that change their entire future. Looking back, they realize that if the first door had opened, they would have missed the better one. At the time, it felt like delay. In reality, it was divine precision. Allah's timing is not random. It is layered with wisdom. Sometimes He delays because your heart is not ready. Sometimes He delays because the blessing requires growth within you first. If you were given success before learning humility, it might fill you with arrogance. If you were given wealth before discipline, it might lead you to wastefulness. If you were given influence before sincerity, it might corrupt your intention. So, Allah refines you quietly while you wait. Waiting is one of the most powerful spiritual teachers. In waiting, you confront your impatience. In waiting, you learn surrender. In waiting, you realize how little control you truly have. And in that realization, you either become bitter or you become closer to Allah. The believer chooses closeness. The believer chooses to say, "Ya Allah, I trust that you know when is best." Consider the story of Yusuf. He was thrown into a well as a child, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for years. Imagine if he had judged Allah's plan based only on the prison cell. It would have seemed like endless delay. But that prison was not the end. It was a step. The very place that looked like a setback became the path to authority and reunion with his family. If his rise to leadership had come earlier, without the lessons of betrayal, patience, and restraint, he may not have carried it with the same wisdom. Your life may have chapters that feel like a prison, restricted, painful, uncertain. But perhaps Allah is positioning you. Perhaps He is arranging conversations, shaping hearts, shifting circumstances in ways you cannot perceive. Timing is not only about when something happens. It is about how all the pieces come together. We compare our timelines with others and feel behind. We see someone younger achieving what we hoped for. We see peers moving ahead in career, marriage, or recognition. Social comparison fuels frustration. But Allah did not write identical scripts for His servants. Each story unfolds differently. Your delay may be someone else's protection. Their early success may be their test. What looks ahead or behind from a human perspective is irrelevant in the sight of Allah. When rain falls at the wrong time, it can destroy crops. When it falls at the right time, it nourishes them. The same rain, different timing, completely different results. Allah sends your blessings with that same precision. Too early and they might harm you. Too late and they might not benefit you. But at the exact moment He chooses, they arrive with impact. Trusting Allah's timing requires surrendering your obsession with control. It means continuing to make dua even when you see no change. It means continuing to work even when results are slow. It means believing that what is written for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never meant to be yours. Every test carries hidden mercy and unseen protection. When a difficulty enters your life, it rarely arrives with an explanation. It does not introduce itself as a blessing in disguise. It does not immediately reveal the harm it is preventing or the reward it is storing for you. Instead, it feels heavy, it feels unfair, it feels confusing. But the believer learns to look beyond the surface and to trust that within every test there is mercy woven so deeply that only Allah can fully see it. Sometimes the mercy is obvious later. You wanted something so badly, and when it slipped away, you felt shattered. You questioned your worth. You questioned your future. But as time passed, you realized that what you lost would have led you into stress, compromise, or regret. What felt like deprivation was actually protection. Allah shielded you from something you were too emotionally attached to walk away from yourself. Other times the mercy is internal. A test softens your heart. It teaches you empathy. Before hardship, you may have judged others quickly. You may have assumed their struggles were small or exaggerated. But when you go through your own trial, financial strain, heartbreak, anxiety, rejection, you begin to understand people differently. You become gentler. You listen more carefully. You make dua for others with sincerity because now you know what pain feels like. That transformation is mercy. Allah's protection does not always look like comfort. Sometimes it looks like removal. He removes people who would have influenced you negatively. He removes opportunities that would have distracted you from your faith. He removes environments that would have weakened your character. In the moment, removal feels like loss. But if you could see the unseen consequences of what was taken away, you would thank Him repeatedly. Reflect on the life of Musa. As a baby, he was placed into a river by his mother. Imagine the fear in that moment. A child set afloat in uncertainty. Yet that very act of apparent danger became the means of his protection. He was taken into the palace of Fir'aun and raised safely. What looked like risk carried hidden mercy. What looked like loss of control carried divine safeguarding. There are moments in your life that feel like being set afloat on a river. You do not know where you are going. You do not know how things will turn out. You feel exposed and vulnerable. But Allah controls the current. The same water that frightens you is being directed by His command. The test is not random. It is measured. It is precise. Hidden mercy also exists in the way tests redirect your focus. When life is smooth, it is easy to become distracted. Comfort can make you forget your dependence on Allah. But when difficulty strikes, your hands rise in dua more frequently. Your sujud becomes longer. Your tears become sincere. You turn to Allah not out of routine, but out of need. That closeness is mercy. That reconnection is mercy. Sometimes Allah tests you to prevent a greater test. A small financial loss may prevent a future financial disaster. A delayed plan may protect you from a harmful commitment. A short-term disappointment may save you from long-term regret. You see the immediate pain, but you do not see the disaster that was quietly averted. The unseen protection is often greater than the visible loss. There is also mercy in reward. Every hardship endured with patience wipes away sins and elevates ranks. Even the prick of a thorn, as mentioned in authentic teachings, carries expiation for the believer. That means nothing you endure is wasted. Every sigh, every moment of restraint, every time you choose patience over anger is being recorded. The test may feel heavy in this world, but it may be lightening your burden in the next. Hidden mercy does not mean the pain is imaginary. It does not mean you should deny your emotions. The pain is real. The tears are real. The confusion is real. But alongside that reality exists another reality, Allah's wisdom operating beyond your perception. Just because you cannot see the full picture does not mean it is not beautifully designed. Imagine standing too close to a massive painting. All you see are random strokes and colors that seem disconnected. From that angle, it looks chaotic. But when you step back, the image becomes clear. Your life is like that painting. From your limited perspective, certain events appear messy and uncoordinated. From Allah's perspective, every stroke has placement, balance, and meaning. When you begin to believe that every test carries hidden mercy and unseen protection, your reaction to hardship changes. Instead of asking only, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is Allah protecting me from? And what is He teaching me through this?" That shift transforms pain into growth, fear into reflection, and uncertainty into trust. Your dua is heard, recorded, and answered in the best way. The moment your lips move and your heart turns toward Allah, that whisper is not lost in the air. It does not disappear into silence. It rises to the one who created your voice, the one who understands not only your words, but the emotions behind them. Sometimes you struggle to express what you feel. You pause, you sigh, you cry without forming sentences. Even then, Allah knows exactly what you are asking for. There are nights when you raise your hands and feel nothing change. The same problems remain. The same worries sit on your chest. Shaitan may come to you and say, "What is the point? Nothing is happening." But the believer understands that every dua is heard immediately, even if the visible response takes time. Allah is as Sami, the all-hearing. He hears the quiet call made under a blanket in the darkness of your room. He hears the desperate plea made while driving alone. He hears the silent prayer made in your heart while standing among people. When you make dua, one of three things happens. Either Allah grants you exactly what you asked for, or He averts from you a harm that you do not even realize was approaching, or He stores for you a reward in the hereafter greater than what you requested. This means no sincere dua is wasted, not one. Even if years pass and you do not see what you hoped for, something is happening beyond your sight. Think about the times you asked Allah for something specific and did not receive it. At that moment, you felt disappointment. But later, when life unfolded further, you realized that what you wanted was limited compared to what Allah chose. Perhaps you asked for a particular person to remain in your life, and Allah removed them. Later you saw the character flaws, the incompatibility, or the harm that would have grown. Perhaps you asked for immediate success, but Allah delayed it until you were spiritually stronger. In hindsight, you recognize that His answer was better than your request. Dua is not a transaction where you insert a request and expect an instant delivery. It is an act of worship. It is an expression of dependence. When you raise your hands, you are acknowledging that you are not in control. You are admitting your weakness before the one who holds all power. That humility itself brings you closer to Him. Consider the story of Zachariah. He made dua for a child for many years. He grew old. His hair turned white. From a worldly perspective, it seemed impossible. Yet he continued to call upon Allah with hope. And when the time was right, Allah granted him Yahya. The response did not come immediately, but it came perfectly. The delay made the gift even more profound. Sometimes Allah delays answering your dua because He loves to hear your voice. He loves your persistence. Every time you return to Him, you strengthen your connection. If everything you asked for came instantly, you might stop asking. You might forget that it was Him who granted it. So He keeps you close through the process of calling upon Him repeatedly. There are also duas you have forgotten about, but Allah has not. You may have asked for guidance years ago, and slowly He shaped your environment, introduced you to reminders, distanced you from certain influences, and brought you closer to faith. You did not connect those changes to your old dua, but they were part of the answer unfolding gradually. Sometimes the answer to your dua is transformation within you rather than change around you. You ask for strength, and instead of removing the challenge, Allah strengthens your heart. You ask for patience, and instead of eliminating difficulty, He expands your capacity to endure. You ask for peace, and instead of altering circumstances, He places calmness in your chest despite the storm around you. Your dua is also recorded. Angels witness it. It is written. On the day of judgment, when you see mountains of reward you did not expect, you may be told that they came from unanswered duas, from tears shed in private, from moments when you turn to Allah with sincerity. You may wish that none of your duas had been answered in this world because of the immense reward you see stored for you. Never underestimate the power of a simple "Why Allah." It can change destinies. It can redirect outcomes. It can open doors that seemed permanently closed. Even if you feel unworthy, even if you feel distant because of your sins, remember that Allah invites you to call upon Him. He does not say only the perfect may ask. He invites the struggling, the broken, the hopeful. When you make dua, do so with certainty. Believe that Allah is capable of responding in ways you cannot imagine. Believe that He chooses what is best, even if it differs from your plan. Trust that the timing, the form, and the outcome of the answer are shaped by divine wisdom far beyond your limited perspective. Trust, patience, and gratitude unlock doors you cannot yet see. These three qualities are not just virtues to admire, they are keys. Keys open what is closed. Keys grant access to spaces you could not enter before. In the same way, when you hold firmly to trust in Allah, when you practice patience through difficulty, and when you choose gratitude even in limitation, you begin to unlock realities that were always there, but hidden from your view. Trust in Allah means believing that His plan is wiser than your preference. It means accepting that even when you do not understand the path, you trust the one who designed it. Trust is tested when things do not go your way. It is easy to say, "I trust Allah," when life is comfortable. The real measure appears when doors close, when people disappoint you, when outcomes differ from your expectations. In those moments, trust is not a feeling, it is a decision. It is the decision to say, "Ya Allah, I may not see the wisdom now, but I believe it is there." Patience is not passive suffering. It is controlled strength. It is the ability to restrain your tongue from complaint, your heart from despair, and your actions from disobedience while you wait for relief. Patience does not mean you do not feel pain. It means you carry that pain with dignity and faith. When you respond to hardship with patience, you prevent temporary emotion from causing permanent damage. You avoid words you would later regret. You avoid choices that would distance you from Allah. Patience protects your future. Look at the example of Ayyub. He lost his wealth. He lost his health. He lost his family. The suffering was not brief. It stretched over time. Yet he did not turn bitter. He did not accuse Allah of injustice. He remained patient, and when he finally called upon Allah, he did so with humility, acknowledging Allah's mercy. His patience was not weakness. It was profound strength rooted in certainty. Gratitude may seem difficult during hardship, but it is transformative. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is missing to what remains. Even in your lowest moments, there are blessings surrounding you, breath in your lungs, a beating heart, the ability to make dua, the presence of faith. When you thank Allah for what you still have, your heart becomes lighter. Gratitude does not deny struggle, it balances it. Trust, patience, and gratitude work together. Trust keeps your heart steady. Patience controls your reaction. Gratitude protects your perspective. When you combine them, something remarkable happens. Doors begin to open in ways you never anticipated. Opportunities arise from unexpected places. Strength appears when you thought you were finished. Clarity comes after confusion. Sometimes the doors that open are internal. You gain emotional maturity. You gain resilience. you gain deeper connection with Allah. Other times the doors are external, new relationships, new provisions, new chances that seem to arrive suddenly. But what feels sudden to you was building quietly behind the scenes. Your trust kept you from giving up. Your patience kept you consistent. Your gratitude kept your heart open. And when the moment was right, Allah opened what had been written for you. Imagine standing before a wall with no visible entrance. You feel trapped. You push against it, searching for a crack. But the door is not in front of you. It is to the side, slightly hidden. Trust makes you step back instead of panicking. Patience keeps you from collapsing in frustration. Gratitude gives you the calmness to observe carefully. And then you notice the handle you could not see before. Allah promises that with hardship comes ease. The ease may not always look the way you imagined, but it comes. Sometimes it comes as inner peace before outer change. Sometimes it comes as strength before solution. Sometimes it comes as acceptance that transforms your entire outlook. When you trust Allah, you stop obsessing over outcomes. When you practice patience, you stop rushing the process. When you show gratitude, you stop feeling empty despite your blessings. These qualities prepare you for the doors that are already being unlocked in the unseen. There are blessings written for you that require a certain version of you to receive them. A more patient you, a more trusting you, a more grateful you. Allah shapes that version of you through experiences that stretch your limits. Each time you respond correctly, you step closer to what has been prepared. You may feel today that nothing is moving, that everything is stuck. But in the unseen, doors are shifting, paths are aligning, hearts are being softened, circumstances are rearranging. And your role in this process is to hold firmly to trust, to wrap yourself in patience, and to fill your tongue and heart with gratitude